Living this life isn't about doing things in order to get us to heaven. If I'm trying to do things so that I can curry God's favor and get my merit points and all that other kind of stuff, those are very selfish actions. They become the definition of sin and turning in on ourselves.
Hello again. It's Fish for People, the
we
Oliver
are.
Lutheran Church podcast.
Getting back into it.
And we are in the middle of Vacation Bible School, which has been a blast,
This
by the
has
way.
been so much fun.
It
so
is.
much fun.
And it's fun to see the adults later on in the day because we are worn out.
Yep. These kids have so much energy and they're learning lots, they're having fun, and relationships are being built. It's really amazing.
It's a special
Yep.
week.
Yep.
And as adults, we look forward to it just as much as the kids every year.
Absolutely. You know, it's like 100 volunteers that Michelle has to
Yes.
gather here, and everyone comes away, exhausted,
Yep.
but very filled in
Yes.
so many ways. Yeah.
Exactly. One of the things that we've noticed when we have children around is they love to ask questions.
Big time.
And they have a lot of questions. But the other thing is that we don't stop with these questions, especially when it comes to our faith.
Right.
And so what we want to do this time is we want to go back and, Chris, why don't you explain what you did during confirmation?
All the questions that the kids will just continue to have. So I did this last fall with the 6th graders, 7th graders, and the 10th graders in the few weeks that we have them before the confirmation service. And I just gave them a piece of paper and I said, you ask any question you want. Preferably it'll be about faith,
Yes.
something faith related. But I didn't want to shut anything off. I said, you ask any questions. And then we sit in a circle and I pull them out and we address them and have good conversation together. And since all the kids on are this faith on the farm, which has been wonderful, we thought this might be a great time to break out those questions. I've kept them all year. Every now and again, I'll rifle through them. What are the questions that they have? What are they wondering about?
Yeah.
And they're quite remarkable.
So let's start with this first one, especially when we were discussing that this came from confirmation. Why do we start confirmation in 6th grade and end in 10th?
Okay. For a long time, Olivet confirmed young people in the fall of their 11th grade year.
Okay.
And then for a long time, it was in the spring of their 10th grade year.
Mm-hmm.
And more, as our culture has changed, schools have changed, the way that kids are in different activities and whatnot, it's more and more difficult for those 10th and 11th graders to have that kind of time.
Okay.
And so that's why we've moved it into the 10th grade year. One reason we want kids in that 10th grade year, and if there's a way we could do it later in the 10th grade year, 11th grade year, all the better, because in their brain development, they take a huge leap from that 15 to 16 years old.
Oh, okay.
In the ability to grasp some more abstract concepts. And so even though that time is pretty brief in 10th grade, it's worth it.
Right.
It's worth it.
Right.
We moved then from starting in 7th grade back to 6th grade so that we can keep more in line with our school systems.
Because we have middle school starting at 6th.
Middle school starts in 6th grade.
Mm-hmm.
And so, and we don't have them jump in right in the fall of the 6th grade. I mean, it's a couple months into it.
Mm-hmm.
After the 10th graders have had their confirmation at the end of October, then the 6th graders will start. So we give them a couple months to get their feet on the ground in middle school, and then they come in.
Sure.
And it's pretty wonderful. It really is.
How about this question? Is church more the people or the service?
Yeah. Yes, it is.
Yes, it is.
Yes, it certainly is. Um, so the church is the people.
Right.
It is the people. It's not an organization. It's not a structure. It's not. It's us. It's you. It's it's a body of people. The service. So what is the service? It is the people. It is the people. So I'm assuming that this question is geared toward: is it just about going to church on Sundays or
Right.
Wednesdays?
Yep.
But it's both. That's the main thing that we do together is worship, and it's a community, and it's important for all of us individually who gather. It's important that I be there for somebody else, and the old word liturgy literally means the work of the people.
Oh, okay.
And this is the work. Worship is, I mean, from the beginning. God gave to our very first parents in the Garden of Eden, he gave them the charge. God said, take care of the earth, take care of all that I have put in your charge, take care of each other, and be in this relationship with me. It's about giving praise to God. So, even though I think that is a maybe slightly veiled attempt to get out of going to worship, it's both. It's the big deal. It's all of those things together.
I think that ties into, I saw another question of, do we have to still go to church after we're confirmed? Yes. All right.
Yeah.
I'm being a father figure here. Yes, you do.
You are the church. You are, and when a person is not there, they are missed, and it builds up everybody when we are there together.
You find your people.
That's right.
You
Yep.
really do.
Yep.
How about this one? What are some simple ways to practice your faith daily outside of church?
It's these kind of questions where we're sitting in that circle together, and some of the kids are expecting a lecture. I'm like, why? Well, I don't know why you're expecting that.
Especially from you.
It's like, I'm just going to tell you everything that you have to be about. Well, this is where we get into those conversations about what is prayer. Important for us to set aside those times where we can be quiet and still. For me, both of those things are very difficult.
Yeah.
And when especially in the morning, when I am in that regular routine of however long that can be, my day is quite different and better. So that kind of prayer and devotion and reading the scriptures or other devotional material, those are big deals. I would remind the kids, too, living out their faith is how you're interacting with other students during your day at school.
Right.
How you are interacting with them. And that's a part of our discipleship, our following. Deliberate acts of service, whether it's a formal kind of service project or just all of those little ways that present themselves as opportunities during our day to be of service to another human being. That is living out our faith. That's who we are created and called to be.
I was going to say that in living out your faith outside of the church, actions speak louder than words.
Big time. Always, the words are important. They need to lead us to different kinds of action. The old philosophical wondering, is to do is to be, or is it to be to do? And it's like, yeah, it is. To do is to exist, and to exist is to do as well. And we need both of them. And so we get some good conversations, and the kids are in tune with these things when you can just bring it to them where they're at and talk about what are the ways that you can be representing Christ without any words, but just by showing and sharing love in the way that you interact with people. Our lives are changed and others are as well. Yeah.
I think this question is really going to hit home. I believe it comes from a seventh grader.
Okay. All right.
Just I'm
Yep.
going by the paper.
Yep.
There's no
Yep.
names on this, but this really I think points out how deep these confirmation students are thinking. Why should we worry about being good if everyone goes to heaven anyway? I mean, that's wow. What a deep, deep question.
There again, and that those are from those papers. Those are seventh graders.
Seventh
Those were the
graders.
seventh graders. They are thinking wonderfully about these things. So what's the point, right? Why do I have to be good?
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's good for us. It's good for others. Living this life isn't about doing things in order to get us to heaven.
That's already been taken care of.
It's already taken care of.
That is what we believe. It's a
Right.
pillar of what we
So
believe.
I don't have to try to do things. If I'm trying to do things so that I can curry God's favor and get my merit points and all that other kind of stuff, those are very selfish actions. They become the definition of sin and turning in on ourselves. So they're not, even though an action might be good, it becomes something that is just turned in completely for our benefit. And when it comes to the other person, we don't really care.
Yeah.
As long as we get a benefit from this.
We're doing it for ourselves.
And so, well, imagine if nobody was worried about being good in this world. Look at the difficulties we already have, and just imagine. I have a friend, God rest his soul. He was a judge, and one of his regular lines would be to remind himself and others: the law is not perfect. But just imagine where we would be without it.
Right.
Our goodness, the church, and all that is not perfect. These things are not perfect. Imagine where we would be without it. Every act of goodness can change somebody else for the good, but it also changes us. You know, there's some words that have been beaten up in recent days, like compassion and empathy. If we did not have those in the world, and people who are conscious of them and practice them, the end of human existence would have been a long time ago.
Right.
We'd have killed each other off a long time ago. But I don't think that's why we're here. We're here to be together and to live in relationship with God. And there again, these kids are thinking deeply about these things. Why do I have to do any of this?
Right.
Well, because it's not only good for somebody else, it's good for you. It will change the way you see yourself, the way you see God, the way you see the whole world.
Another
Love
deep
it.
one. And there are some lighthearted questions here too, but what about this one? Why did God make threats to human lives if he loves us so much, such as hurricanes?
So we look at natural disasters, natural occurrences. And here's where I like to take this conversation with younger people. I ask them about the universe. And actually, I've just been reading some new theories on the whole universe, and it's like, wow, because I don't understand it.
It's deep stuff.
So it's deep. It's so wonderful. But one thing that is theorized, and we come to understand a little bit, is at least some of the theories, and I know some are questioning these things too, which I think is amazing. The Big Bang theory used to be there was this monstrous matter out there, and there was an explosion, and it's been sending out. What they've discovered with all these different tests and theories and pieces, no, it seems like it started with the very smallest piece of matter, and it's expanding.
Really?
See, we got to get Eli in here. His physics stuff.
Yes.
He will.
Yeah.
He will go. On this stuff. So, and they all seem to know. I said, what do most scientists, astrophysicists believe about the universe? And they all know it. It's expanding. And so then I asked them, what does that say about God creating things? And they get that too. If it's expanding, then God's not done creating.
The creation continues.
And our weather systems, so to speak, and other phenomena. Last week Etna blew up again, big time in Sicily. Those are all part of God's continuing creation of this planet, the continuing formation of this planet. The world as we know it now naturally wasn't always the same. It looked different. We had ice ages. We had, different epochs and all that kind of thing. God is continuing to create. What gets really difficult is that we as humans often get in the way of those forces of nature that are still creating. And I do believe that, I would really love to own beachfront property. I really would.
Yeah.
But that comes with a cost of, that has a great probability it's going to get wiped out by a hurricane sometime.
Yep.
Right. So is it God's fault that I built a house on the beach that got hit by a hurricane? Or am I, floods? We've had our share of floods, in this region. Thankfully, not for many years now. But we get in the way of it sometimes. That doesn't mean that we don't help people that are hurting, that have lost life, health, property, all that. Of course we do, and we don't blame them for it. But I think it's very easy sometimes to blame God for some misfortune that humans at least have some, call it responsibility or agency, right? And that gets difficult. But when we talk about it in God's continuing creative activity, kids get with that too. They go, oh, yeah, that does make some sense. And they're thinking just beautifully about all of these things. What's God up to?
Right.
And sometimes we get in the way of things. Most of our ills come from ourselves or from other human beings. But some that are most difficult to explain are those natural occurrences where people are harmed. And then you go, well, okay. But I don't think God is to blame or, is at fault for somebody getting hurt in those things.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do I hear God in my prayers?
I remember this one. I think those are 10th graders.
Yep, these are 10th graders.
So they're 10th grader ready to go to confirmation and going, I don't know if I've ever heard God,
Yeah.
And I remember because we sat in that circle and talked about this one. And it's a rare thing where we actually hear a voice, where we actually see a vision. It happens, but it's rare. So how do we hear that? And we had a really good conversation in about prayer. So and then observing in our lives different ways God may be active.
Okay.
So about getting quiet. And so one thing that we talked about very forthrightly was about what we might call meditation, which there's some fine lines between prayer and meditation. But one way that helps me understand some of this is meditation is when I am getting quiet and I am not bringing my stuff and not even my own words to that time. I'm listening. I'm listening. I might probably not going to hear a voice, but something might occur to me in that time if I can get rid of all the other stuff that's going on in my life and stop blocking God's presence. And then things might be more and more revealed to me. And for many of you listening to this, and the kids too, that's I'm a little freaked out by that, right? I don't know. But when you do it, we all know the stuff that's going on in our lives. But when we can peel back and not focus on that and just listen, there are times where that answer, so to speak, somehow comes. So I think one thing, and we're not always really good at just listening.
Yeah.
But that's one way. The other way is more direct in our prayers. Just say what you want, think, need, feel. Say it. Let God know. Even if you're angry with God, even if you're confused, I think God's big enough to handle that.
Right.
And so we bring that to God and then see what happens as we're conversing with God in that way. And then look around and just see if you start to notice a few of the ways that God might be active in this world, in other people's lives, in my own. And then listen to what that message might be for your life.
It sounds like you're saying we need to be present. You know, we need to be present in the moment, and rather than always is stuck in our heads, which I do it all the time. You know, well, one of the things, just a simple thing, when I started walking outside, I was, walking outside, be outside, it's good for your health and everything. And I was walking and I just wasn't getting anything out of it. And then somebody suggested, well, do you listen to music while you do it? Yeah, I've got my headphones in. Try not.
Shut it off.
Turn it off, and just experience it.
The moment.
It's different.
And I like the way you say that. That's probably the best way to say it. By being present in the moment opens us even more so to God's activity. Too often we're living in the past and we can't change it. And way too often we're living in the future. Worrying, concerned, wondering. And most of the things that we're thinking about are completely out of our control anyway. But then we're not experiencing that moment. Mm-hmm. When we are in the moment, whether we're alone or with others, when you're present right there, you can, I believe, and have experienced, you experience God's presence a lot more clearly than when we're somewhere else.
We could do this for hours. We really could. One final question, and this is a real fun one. What do you think was Jesus' favorite food?
Yeah, I know. Favorite food? It probably had to be falafel on a pita, something like that. Something in there.
Some cooked fish.
That's right. A little fish
like
on the fire. It's wonderful.
Yep. It's and it all ties together. We don't stop asking these questions. We experience it so much during Vacation Bible School, which is, what you see around us, and we don't stop.
No.
And questions are good for faith.
We've got to keep the wonder and messing with all kinds of questions, no matter what they are.
Yeah.
Don't always get answers. We might find that we're changed in the midst of asking and wondering about questions. I think that's maybe the point. But I do know when we wonder, when we mess, when we talk about them together, we're drawn closer together, and we're drawn closer to God. And I think that's the point. And I think most of these kids, if they didn't get it already, they're starting to.
Yep, absolutely.
So this is fun. This is good.
Well, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe wherever you're getting this podcast, and we hope to see you soon with Fish for People.
We'll do more. God bless everybody.